Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about This Is America, Charlie Brown, the Mayflower Voyagers from 1988. This was originally episode 1 in a mini-series called This Is America, Charlie Brown, where they went through various big American things. They go through the Constitution, they go to space, they meet the Wright brothers, all sorts of cool stuff like that. But this one was one I grew up with probably more than the Thanksgiving one that most people grow up with. There isn't really a good reason for it. Part is because my parents recorded this, I think, from the first airing. I don't know, but it had that cool logo that wherever the network was, where it goes, spins around and makes cool music and stuff. So I'm assuming it was from '88, but I don't know 100%. I do know because of the ads, it did air in October, and that's when this aired, so probably. But because of the day of Thanksgiving, if you're a kid, it's actually kind of boring because you're not cooking and you don't have anything to do after the parade. And my sister and I would definitely watch this one almost every Thanksgiving, to the point where I know she, I think, paid for it or something, or bought a DVD or something for her kids. But it was sort of like a thing, even when we were too old, because there's not much to do, and we always ended up watching this. And this special, if you didn't know, is sort of like, I have always looked at it as sort of a kids book report version of what the story of the Pilgrims and the first Thanksgiving. They even, when one guy falls overboard, they go oh, that's, and then they say his name. They know everybody's, they know all the historical facts to impress your teacher, everything like that. And it works on that level. And I think there's some thing about kids' educational stuff that is not cool, or, might feel reductive in a certain way. But I do believe that people need to understand the rule of something. Now, that doesn't mean they need to accept this and accept, colonialism and all these various things with it. And I'm not trying to go politically one way or the other. What I am saying is, it's Thanksgiving, make sure the kids know the Pilgrim thing. That's all. That's kind of what I've always looked at this as. I watch it with my kids as well as the other Charlie Brown special. I've noticed kids tend to like this one more because it's just silly and fun, and you get the story, and people are referring to it a lot. And I think it answers a lot of questions in that. I sort of think the other one's maybe a little more fun, but they sort of do different things of a Thanksgiving special. There are other ones that go over the first Thanksgiving. I've always thought this is the best one. However, it is fairly dry. I think it's a lot of this happened, and then everybody got sick. We had to build this thing, and it's basically a lot of it is the Pilgrims didn't know what they were doing, and then the Native Americans showed up, or Squanto and the Samoset and all those guys show up and actually teach them how to exist, and then they sign the Mayflower Compact, which I think held for a while, but they're it held for a really long time, and you're what happened after that? Peanuts special, not getting into that one. Not that they should, but that would be let's diverge very extremely. But it was interesting hearing about that. I do think it serves a certain purpose, and especially for Thanksgiving for kids. The only parts I don't like Lucy's ongoing bit, she wants to send complaints to the complaint department. It was not really funny once, but I get it. But she kept doing it, and as I watched this almost every year since 1988, I would say, that joke, I just don't like it. It's Lucy, I get it. You don't like being on the Mayflower. It's cool, but just shut up. I don't know. I generally don't find people joking about making complaints very funny, because they're just going to be annoying. So anyway, that was my thing I really don't like. But I do like how it is able to explain Miles Standish, explain the various Mayflower things. I'm showing nice animation. I also thought the music was kind of more fitting because it's more of a traditional historical story. This often, and I didn't know for a long time, I just thought my my sister and I were weird and we watched this thing my dad recorded, that this would play next to the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving as sort of an hour special on CBS or whomever. I believe it's CBS, right? I didn't know it had been played a lot of times around then on PBS and Apple owns it or whatever. But so this did actually get played a lot more than usual. The only other things I know of This Is America Charlie Brown, I saw the spaceship one and saw Dave Brubeck, if you know jazz, do the music to that one, and you can find that soundtrack on Spotify. It's very good. I know Wynton Marsalis actually did the one with the Wright brothers. I kind of want to track these down because they might be fun for my kids. But also, Wynton Marsalis, that might be good. But the Dave Brubeck one is good depending on how you feel about Dave Brubeck, which I know for some jazz people is like or he doesn't have as much soul as most jazz performers, but that's always my dad has always said. We like Dave Brubeck, but he's not like as passionate and stuff. But I thought he did a good Peanuts score. We played it recently for my kids and they enjoyed it. So it was a good, if anything, the Dave Brubeck soundtrack to the spaceship one. I can recommend. The music to this is like not Vince Guaraldi or any of those guys. It's not really probably my least favorite, but it fits for what it is, but it's not one I would ever listen to. I like this special. I will probably watch it. My kids are actually pretty quiet during it because we watched the parade, it's been referred to at school and stuff like that, and I watched educational stuff with my kids, and I think it's actually works within that, and it is boring to explain someone the rule of something you don't want to, not necessarily because you believe it. And if you don't, there's a great Animaniacs episode, which I have reviewed, where they chase around Miles Standish and treat him like he's a jerk and stuff, and that's actually my favorite Thanksgiving special, even though you can't watch it anywhere. It's not streaming anywhere right now, or at the time I make this. But I think if you want to explain to kids what Thanksgiving is, this is a great little special. I don't think they try to interject the personality of Charlie Brown. I like the Pepper and Patty Marcy like snake thing, and like Snoopy being there, and like them being like, your customs kind of weird. Ooh. So I don't mind Snoopy being there. I think it sort of works within it, as I'm someone who watches kids' educational stuff semi-regularly. I think this very much works for what its purpose is to teach kids the Mayflower thing and the Mayflower Voyagers and how they came from England and came here and had the first Thanksgiving. And it does that. And it's very kind of dry. It has some Peanuts things throughout it. I don't think it is the most historically accurate thing. You should, if you're an adult and you want like a very nuanced historical take on it, I would not watch this. What's wrong? What? I don't. But for kids, which I believe its intent was, or for families, it works great. It does exactly what you need it to do, and that's fine. And it's a fine thing to watch on Thanksgiving, and then you move on. I do think the other ones have more of the Peanuts personality. I think it probably says something about me and my family that we watch this too many times, like almost every year. Maybe I'll eventually review the other more cooler Peanut specials, but I have always had a fondness for this. I watch it every year. I like learning about the Mayflower and the Pilgrims and all that stuff. And to be honest, when we watch the Macy's Parade, I'm like, oh yeah, see, I remember names of things. And just because I just watched it. And I can do that because I watched this in advance to do this review. I've always kind of wanted to do this review because it's just sort of a personal favorite of mine. I understand it's very dry. I understand it's not the coolest one. But I actually think they did a good job. I'd be curious to watch the rest of these. Other than the only thing I remember is Dave Brubeck. But I'm assuming it has more interesting things than just him. But it's cool to just explain to kids like, hey, this is history. Let's not get into the other complications later because I don't want to upset you because I have to make mashed potatoes. This sort of like works within what you want it to, and I've always really liked it for that. I think it's a fine little special, and I think it kind of shows like how you can use your property to just explain things to kids sometimes when they need things explained to them. And I think the special and Charlie Brown did that pretty good. So if you've seen This Is America, Charlie Brown, the Mayflower Voyagers, and you'd like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.